pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing in honor of those serving in the military. Great, thank you. Tonight is Trustee Zepp's last meeting. Unfortunately, he's at a wedding and he's on a plane right now, so he's not here. So we figured we would make sure that he did make the meeting. But thank you for coming. Make a motion to approve board minutes, May 5th, May 19th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Suffolk County Police Department, would you like to come up, please?
Hello.
Hello. Good evening. First, I want to thank you guys for working the SOS run. I don't think either one of you guys were there, but you know, it's hard because they do a 10K, they go around twice, so to control Montauk Highway for 45 minutes is definitely a challenge. And I think just 3 officers were there and they did a great job, so we appreciate it. So, thank you.
I don't have much, so if you have any questions.
Okay. I know I saw you over by with Mama Santini before they ran into the building.
Yep.
I was at Mama Santini's over the weekend, and you know, they said it was an 81-year-old woman who, you know, I guess wasn't supposed to be driving. She decided to pull in. So anyway, let's see. The board, do you guys have anything?
I guess just on what we have here on the report, do you want to just give us a heads up on what these were?
It was a bar fight and a criminal contempt one.
So, what was that? Crib?
A criminal contempt one, so it's involving a domestic. So.
Gotcha.
Someone violated the code order.
Gotcha.
What are you guys' suggestion is? We just finished our traffic study in the village, and they're going to come back to us. And they're going to probably say that we have normal traffic, except that people drive too fast and they don't stop at stop signs. Okay? So, what do you guys suggest when we sit down with them to discuss the numbers? What should we be looking for? Should we be looking for suggestions for speed humps? Is looking for enforcement of speed enforcement? What do you? I mean, do you guys do speed enforcement in residential areas like ours? Like radar?
Yeah, we can, but we do the stop signs mostly. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Speed humps, people fly over regardless. I mean, it could help, it might not.
It's funnier though, right? When they go into the...
I don't know. Some people see it and they just go over it. So I don't know if it would help, but I would say probably speed enforcement is the better option.
Do you think if we had the signs that say, you know, if our speed limit's 25 and the sign and their sign says they're going 35, does that matter to them, or you think they just try to go faster?
I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Is there a lot of tickets written in bright orders as far as like stop sign tickets? I understand you guys are patrolling everywhere, but is there tickets written in bright orders for stop signs?
We try to, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of residents too, so we try not to
No, feel free.
go crazy
Please.
on everyone,
Please
but we do here and there, so yeah.
Anything else from the board?
Just, I noticed coming here today, there's a couple of, I know that from downtown and the train station, a couple homeless people that are cruising around the lakes right now. So if you guys would have to leave here and go that way, I'd appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Nice.
I know one of them has mental health issues, so it's picked up a couple times. So,
Okay.
thanks.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions for the officers? That's great.
All
All
right.
right, guys, thank you.
Thank you so much. Be safe.
Report to the mayor and trustees. Trustee Boston, can you start us, please?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, everybody. Very busy month in the village, a couple weeks in the village. We have, as you know, we have had a very windy day. One of the beautiful things about our village is we have thousands of trees. One of the problems with that is with all these high windstorms that we seem to be having on a routine basis, we have a lot of limbs down. So our guys come in typically on Monday. Their first duty is just to run around, pick up garbage, pick up tree limbs and things of that nature. Do us a huge favor, if you see any trees that are dying or have need pruning, please reach out to the office. You can actually use the app. And the app has geolocate, so you can take a picture of the tree limb and submit it, and it'll go right to the right department. They come in and when they're available, trim that tree, especially the village trees in the right of way. There's a lot of trees in the right of way that aren't doing too well, so if you see that something's dying, needs to be removed, please let us know. Also, we did street sweeping this month, so that's completed. The WeDo boats have been in the lakes. Lessons learned, we're going to need to start earlier next year. We already pulled out, I think, close to 43 tons of lily pads. Our very crisp pace is now going to be taking the charge. We only have 4 DPW guys. Mike, was like to take vacations with his family, but he was out of the village for 3 days, and we only had 3 guys. And then 2 of those guys, when he came back, were on vacation, which was a scheduling mishap. But we had basically 2 guys on the day after Memorial Day, which wasn't a great situation. The reason for that is because our pay structure, what we pay people, one of the requirements to be a DPW employee is to have a CDL. If you have a CDL, it costs roughly $3,900, which the village right now does not reimburse you to get. And if you get a CDL, I had an exit video with one of our workers, James, who just left. He's very honest. He got a job at DePaul making a lot more money than he makes at the village. You can't fault the young. He's a young guy. He's hustling, wants to work. He's going to work very hard in the new job and a lot of hours. But he's a young guy, wants to make good money. And, we have to take a look at what we're doing. Our contract isn't up this year, it's up next year, so we'll be looking at what the other villages are doing and making sure that we're compensating our guys appropriately so we have the right people in place. On top of that, we did Walker Beat prep this year, and I'm always walking around the village. We had a couple of flags that were tattered. Jeannie had ordered some new ones. We got a whole new flags in the village, American flags. And then, the last thing I just want to say, I don't want to jump in the mayor's thunder here, but this Memorial Day was a little more special for the Fawcett family. My one son is in Coronado right now doing Navy training. My other son just got his orders and will be serving Great American Army in Texas. He actually goes for training in Oklahoma and then goes to Texas. So, special meeting for the forces this year. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thanks. Trustee Bennett?
So the board attended the Suffolk County Police Department meeting at the Bay Shore Brightwaters Library, I guess about a week and a half ago. We brought some things to their attention. We were kind of told, Brightwaters doesn't have a crime issue. They're spread out with their patrolling, so if there's no crime, they're basically not coming. So
We were basically told to our faces that there's no crime in Brightwater. That's what they said.
So
he's more diplomatic than I am, but that's what they said in front of 100 people.
So basically, what I'm saying is, if there's any criminal activity on your property or you see in the village, please report it. Call 911 if it's a crime. If you see on your Ring camera that somebody was on your property the night before, check the car doors or whatever. That's a reason to call the police and report it and have it, documented. June 15th, Pro Protection will begin patrolling the village, 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. And the traffic survey results should be coming this week. And the board will be working with GPI for traffic solutions. So hopefully we'll have that. That's it.
Okay, great. Trustee Del Vecchio?
Events, we're getting ready for a summer mailer with all the events for the summer upcoming. This month, 2 things that I want to bring to your attention. June 15th, Mom Santina's is having their Cigar and Cars event. And then June 21st is the Old Time Baseball in conjunction with the Bay Shore Brightwaters Library and the Brightwaters Historical Society. I'm really looking forward to that event. Outside of the village, the Arts Festival is this Sunday, so just remember to put that on your calendar as well. Oh, and Election Day in the village is coming up. It's on June 17th.
All these events and everything that we're mentioning as far as events can be found up on the app, so I would highly recommend, if you haven't downloaded the My Brightwaters app, to do that.
Okay, great. That's it. Thank you. Guess I won't ask comment. All right. Just getting back to the elections, to start my report, June 17th. After the last meeting, at our working meeting, we decided to only have 2 of the questions on the ballot now. One of the questions will be for the compensation of $15,000, $5,000 for the mayor, $2,500 for the trustees, and whether to go to 2 to 4 years on the terms. It was just getting apparently confusing as we were talking to people about the going from 8 to 12 years. It's something that doesn't have to be decided right now. So as of now, on the ballot on the 17th, will be just 2 questions, the compensation question and going from 2 to 4 years. So that's on the 17th. Memorial Day, I want to mention again, I want to thank everybody who came to that. It was the first showing of the Brightwater's chorus. They had like 12 people. Dottie Coyne put the chorus together. They did a great job. We had bagpipers, we had the cars, we had a guitar player, we had Chris Place Painter music, and then we also had kids from the high school, Jordan Drago and Victoria Gill, who played taps. And it was a nice event. It was a half hour, and it's something that I think it's important that we keep doing. Spring Block Party was a great event. The Art Council did a great job. They showed up with about 12 vendors. They really gave it a different feel. So in the spring, we like the arts look. We like the, people buying stuff. I don't buy stuff no more, but people buy stuff. And it was a nice event. The weather held up. We mentioned the traffic study. The SOS Run also is held in Brightwaters. That's a huge community event. Erin Mascaro runs it. She lives on the lakes. They had about 600 people running, walking, 5 and 10K, and the village supports her with that. I mentioned before, it is Tom Sepp's last meeting. He's been a village trustee for 8 years, and we'll thank him when we send out a flyer. Just a couple of updates. The Peter Pan Diner has got a demo permit. They don't have a construction permit yet. They're over there. They're doing a lot of different things. We're waiting for the final plans. Hopefully that happens soon, and then they can jump on it. This Baja restaurant opened up over here. Some people have tried it, really like it. I haven't been there yet. They have sent some stuff over here to Village Hall. Some things in town. Sheehan's, the accounting firm Sheehan, they're looking at redoing the parking lot across the way. They might be knocking down the building. So they're supposed to come back to us with some kind of plans. Then we'll enhance the sidewalk over there too. So hopefully that comes about. Next to the Chinese restaurant, also along the tracks in the service road, we've been talking to the MTA a little bit, but it's a long process of trying to clean that up, putting some diagonal parking in, but that's just at the infant stage also. So we're hoping clean up these areas. Sheehan's parking lot next to the Chinese restaurant, and everything else we got. Okay, that's my report. Next thing on the agenda, again, we're down to 4 full-time DPW staff. We looked around, Mike interviewed a couple of people, and starting, I believe, tomorrow, is he starting? Yeah. We're going to appoint Ian Tracy as Owen Tracy?
Yeah, it's Irish.
That's Owen?
Yep.
E-O-I-N?
Yeah, so.
Okay, we're going to appoint Owen Tracy as a full-time laborer at the rate of $26.11 an hour. Make a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, the next thing is we were looking around for someone who has the time to do 3 days a week on the lakes. Every day I drive by, I see Chris Pace busy on his lawn doing stuff, looking to keep busy, so I thought he might be someone who would be interested. He tried out the boat twice this week, so everything's good. Captain, you're all ready to go? Thank you. We do have some things to clean up about it. We can't leave so much dirt on the road. We have to try to getting in and getting out of the lakes is something we have to work on a little bit better. Lower Cascade was hit. It's pretty good right now. We'll be going back into Upper Cascade. So once we get the system going, I think we'll be fine. Mike's been shorthanded, like Pat said, all month. So now we're hoping with Owen being hired and with Chris being hired to do the boat, that'll give us some stability. We're also looking into what we did last year, is we're sub out some of the big open green areas, like by Gilbert Park, Walker Beach, all these, areas here. Like instead of our guys wasting their time doing that, not wasting, taking their time to do that, which is time consuming, we were subbed it out at a pretty good price. So we have to just finalize that. That'll relieve Mike some, that we can keep up on all the other loose ends. So I make a motion to contract with Chris Pace with seasonal labor specifically to operate the mechanical harvester in the lakes at the rate of $40 an hour. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm not going to go through all the summer help and lifeguards names. We have a great summer program. We're up to 106 campers. Maria does a tremendous job with it. Everybody who signed up during those 4 days that we had it open to the public, we made space for. So every time we make it a little bit bigger, we have to expand our staff a little bit. So Maria does a great job. She has assistant director. The cost of the camp is paid for by the campers. So it's a zero. We may make a couple of dollars on it, but right now the camp does not cost us anything, and we're going to keep it that way. So I make a motion to hire all these camp staff and lifeguards. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Let's see. Make a motion to approve budget modifications, increase expense for day camp counselors from $39,000 to $44,500, and increase income from youth day camp from $56,000 to $61,500. Make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Treasurer's report. Everybody basically has all of the big items in their treasurer's report. I make a motion to approve the treasurer's report and abstracts. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Before I open it up to the public, does anybody on the board have anything else to add? Good. Okay. I make a motion to open up to the public. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Does anybody have anything? Please state your name and.
Rich Dahan, Henwood Avenue North. Poison ivy has returned to the lakes. We had the guy come in, maybe 5 years ago, did a great job. Can we get him back before it gets out of hand?
Yeah, we can give him a call. I'll call him tomorrow.
Rich, I'd like the sign on your lawn.
I'm sorry?
I'd like the sign on your lawn.
Oh, thank you.
We were debating whether that was legal or not, but
It's legal. It's not a political sign.
no, I know, it's good. It's weeds.
Rich, where is the,
I'm sorry? Where is it? The poison ivy?
No, it's all over.
Lots of it.
It's all over.
Yeah.
Jeannie,
I can show you spots.
make a note that we can try to look up that guy's contract. Yeah, because his guarantee is for like 3 years, so he did come back a couple of
Oh,
times.
he did, but I think it's past his guarantee period.
Yeah, 100%.
But he did a great job. He was polite and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, he was into it. That's what he did. Yeah. All right, we'll get on that, Rich. All right, anybody else?
Good evening, folks. Wanted to speak tonight because my wife listened to the tape and said I got too emotional last week. So, but I'm gonna get emotional. But can you please clarify what you said before about you were going to discuss the 3 to 4 year, like you're going to put on the ballot and ask the people to say it should be the 2 to 4 years. If that was to pass, how does that affect the board now?
Doesn't affect us at all.
So if it,
It doesn't affect this year's elections at all.
No.
The term limits, if this passes, then the term limits will have to be readdressed because now we have 4 years. So then maybe like over the next 3 or 4 months, we'd have to work up something, have a couple of public hearings, or whether we're going to extend it from, I guess we have to change the word because
Well,
right
we
now
have-
it says
well-
4 consecutive 2-year terms.
Right, what we had the public hearing on and didn't approve, because we have to have the referendum approved first, is that we will change the term limit law from instead of 4 2-year terms, we went to 3 4-year terms, only if the referendum passes
Right.
and we change the length of the elected office term. If the referendum doesn't pass, that term limit law that we proposed last month doesn't work, because it only goes to the new elected term when that happens. Nevertheless, if it does pass the referendum and the elected term is extended from 2 to 4 years now, the board could pass that version that we discussed last month, or any other version. It hasn't been passed yet. It was just had a public hearing. If the board decides to have another go at it, we'll have a new public hearing and et cetera.
And the only one, I was a little bit disappointed, I seen a copy of the ballot, and I thought the ballot, when it came to compensation, should have said something, do you think the village should adopt the local law they voted on?
We didn't vote on it yet, though, Mr. Mayor. That's why, respectfully, let me interject.
Yeah, let me just, Charlie and Nicole did the ballot. So we didn't-
Let me explain. We followed the New York State election law when we drafted the ballot. We did not adopt that local law on compensation. We had a public hearing on it, but we didn't adopt it because the mayor and the board sent it out for referendum. If it passes in referendum, then we will adopt it at the July meeting, if the board chooses.
Okay.
Okay, but you had to put a very general term in there that says, I forgot, I don't have it in front of me, forgive me, I don't remember what it said, but what it's,
It also could have said, do you think the board should be compensated?
well, that's not the law that we proposed, Mr. Mayor. What we
It also
proposed
could-
is what we proposed, Mr. Mayor, if you put a compensation line in the budget for mayor and trustees, for the office of mayor and trustees, that's the proper way to do it.
The way you presented at the meeting was that the board should be compensated at a rate of $5,000 for the mayor and $25,000.
Well, that's a decision that they'll make during a budget hearing.
If that's what they had at the public hearing, that's what people comment on. That should be reflected on what you want people to
Well,
vote
no,
to.
Mr. Mayor, respectfully, no, because that's not the local law. The local law is, I understand your point, man, but the local law is, shall there be a line for compensation for the office of mayor and trustee? And that's what's on the ballot referendum. If that passes, then they can determine during the budget hearing how much compensation would actually be. And right now, it's $5,000 and $2,500.
Well, then, Charlie, to be clear about that, that was the only reason that was even mentioned, was somebody in the audience asked us what we were thinking as far as compensation.
That's correct. That's correct, trustee
So,
Wilson.
just to be clear, that question came from the audience, what we were thinking about the compensation should be. So we put that number out there in good faith to let people know what we were thinking.
Well, I haven't seen the ballot, so does it say 5,000?
No, it does not.
Does
It
it say
says, no, it does not, and it can't, because the local law says just an
Okay.
annual line of compensation.
But in our budget that was approved, we allotted $15,000 for compensation.
Correct, and this board had said it'll be $5,000 and $2,500, but the local law doesn't have a monetary amount in it. It just allows for a budget line in the budget, which is the correct way to do it. And then you'll have the public hearing on the budget again to determine when that goes into place.
Well, first it has to be voted on. and approved.
And first it has to be voted on and approved by the citizens of the village.
Well, again, we're not having a budget hearing because it's already in the budget.
Correct, well, yes, but you'll revisit it again at a later date, for sure. Yes.
Jody McNulty, 425 Pioneers Boulevard. I understand that we won't have machines for the election, so it's going to be a hand ballot. And the ballot says you got to fill out the oval. If you go outside the oval, the ballot's not good. We're going to still honor that,
Well,
or we're going to do, if
that's-
somebody makes a check, will it be accepted?
That depends, what the intent, well, no,
You
okay,
can't say
but-
it depends, it depends who they vote for.
But no, you're asking a very serious question. You're asking a very serious question that's been debated up to the United States Supreme Court. Okay? If you make a mark, and that mark is indicative enough of who you voted for, then yes, it counts.
Like a
If you
check.
make a like a check, and a Bush v. Gore, if you make a mark and it's indecipherable, then it doesn't count, and that's a Board of Elections question. That's not Nicole or I. That is a Suffolk County Board of Elections question. If a ballot is contested.
If a ballot's contested. what the ballot says, fill in the oval.
Yep.
If you go outside the oval, the ballot is no good.
Well, if there's an oval circle, and you don't circle in the oval, you circle alongside of it, that's invalid.
It's
Because it
invalid.
says,
So the ballots are no good now.
well, depends, not totally, it depends. Well, because, Jody, there's no clear-cut answer. It all depends on the circumstance, how it was colored in, how it was voted on. Because you didn't vote one thing doesn't knock out the entire ballot if you voted correctly for the other two candidates.
Ballot
If you-
doesn't say that.
Well, you
The
can't,
ballot doesn't have to say that. That's the local law. The ballot that we have printed is what Suffolk County Board of Elections has given us to print, in line with the New York State
I
local
understand
law.
that. When you had the machines, because the machine had to read that, I get that.
Right,
All
right.
But if somebody marks an X.
Well, we're gonna have to determine. If it's an X and it's on the oval, yeah, generally it'll count because that's your,
No.
that's your intent. But if it's an X and it's up there and it's
No,
not in the oval, then.
no. It's in the neighborhood and it's.
Well, we have to be careful of the neighborhood because election law is very specific and finite on certain things. So if you have an oval and you put an X 3 inches to the left of the oval, through the oval, it'll probably count. Yes.
That was good. Okay,
Yes.
that's what I need.
Yes.
That's all. Thank you.
anybody else?
Carl Fraser, 514 Richmond Boulevard. Regarding the budget modification, what was the reason for the camp counselor's expense increase?
Because we had said we were only gonna bring 100 kids in, so we were budgeting, we only figured 100 kids. Now I think it's 108 kids I believe is in it. So with the additional kids, then Maria asked for a little bit more money as the director, and we had to give the assistant director, I think, a little bit more money also. So they had asked for a little bit more. We were bringing in the extra money. So we probably had at least another 10 kids who we got calls afterwards that wanted to be in. This camp would just keep growing and growing, but we have to stop. Everybody, we had 4 days of registration. Everybody who signed up during that time, we made room for. But then we had people a week later. I forgot, I didn't do it. We gave 4 days. That was more than enough to do it. But again, I think she had hired another counselor also, so she is being ahead of it. She doesn't want to be short-staffed, and the camp does pay for itself. So that's a good thing. So, all right. Anybody else?
I just want to commend the public safety officer today. He dug out one of the sandwich boards in the lake. He
Yeah.
did that on his own. So I thanked him for doing that, and he had his eyes in it.
I saw it yesterday about 12 o'clock, and
It was in the middle of the lake.
Yeah.
He finally got it.
Joe, nice job with the planters.
Yeah.
Joe.
Good job.
Joe, nice job with the planters on Cascades.
Oh, you bet.
yeah, also to Jennifer's here. Jennifer, you can stand up, please, so I can embarrass you. I want to thank you for all your efforts in town. Her and Ann during the plant sale, they run the whole thing. I think there was a nice group of volunteers this year. And what you do in town, she does it all in her own time. And Joe, you guys do a great job. Thank you very much.
Now we're handing it off to Mike and team to the water.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
hope
hope
for
for rain.
All right. Anybody else? Okay, great. I make a vote. Chris, what happens?
I know this is
I
delicate.
don't think your village employees are allowed to speak at the meeting.
As a guy who lives across from the park and who has been watering the plants in the park until they take over, I've noticed something. One, we have a lot of new faces in Brightwoods. That's great. We have a lot of new kids. But at the same time, our park, which is supposed to be for Brightwood residents, is used by other people. We all know that. It's difficult to police that. But what I've noticed lately in so many new people coming in is that there's garbage everywhere. We never had garbage in the park, right? Brightwood is a clean park. We have garbage cans, so it's not a matter of that we don't have garbage cans. It's just people throw bottles. They rip something off. They throw it there.
So what do you want to work 2 more days cleaning the park now?
I did pick up stuff yesterday. Is there a solution, or is that just something we deal with?
just something to do. Once the season kicks in, probably the end of the month, we do have one of our guys come in on Sunday to just do that, just go around and do all the paths. Because Friday nights, if it's a nice night, Friday night, Saturday, so Sunday mornings, they've been coming in, doing all the cans and checking the bathrooms. So
I
we're a
floated
little
an
slow in
idea.
getting started, but
I floated an idea with Nicole and Mike about hiring somebody part-time, be basically a trash guy and a water guy. So basically you come in, like maybe somebody semi-retired that would come in at like 2 to 4 hours a day, come in, do the garbages, then police the village garbage, and then water. Because with 4 guys, and you know, they take vacations, and then we're short guys, and plus we got you now on the we do, and we have to sub all those stuff. We just don't have enough people to do everything. And the reason the village is so clean is because Mike's guys every day go to the village at least twice and are picking up trash. So that's why our village is so clean. You know. But we're looking at it.
Pat, how many users do we have of the app? Is that growing?
I don't know, Jeannie, we check that number?
Yeah, I don't have that number.
We can find out. I mean, it's definitely growing, and we have a lot more. And a lot more people actually put in requests then, which is good. That helps the office staff not have to field so many phone calls. I mean, the reason we did that was, you know, and actually it's gotten better now, because now you can do permits on there. I did my vote application, I filled out everything online, sent it over, and then I came in with the check, and you know, I picked up my stickers. It does free up the staff, it makes the village work a lot more efficiently. The notifications are good. You know, we need to do a little bit better job when we have storms for storm outages and stuff of that nature, but you know, it really has helped us with the front office. Gina, am I speaking out of turn? Has it helped you guys?
Yes,
Yeah.
tremendous.
Yeah, I mean, she keeps telling everybody about the app at every meeting, so, yeah.
So when we have our summer schedule getting sent out, again, we'll ask people to sign up for emails, sign up for the app, so we ask, but every time we send something out, we're still, you know, when I said we send an email out, if we hit 50%, we're lucky. You know, we send out thousands when we send it out, but still, you know, but we beg people to sign up for it.
If you put out that mail, would you put a little blurb in there in regards to, once again, you look around. No offense to anyone, but no one's young. The volunteers aren't young. Meetings, people aren't young. I mean, I'm young. But, you know, the thing about it is that I see so many young families, and they probably don't know about that community involvement.
Well, we send out flyers, we listed all the organizations, we send it out, we can't hold people's hands. There are some young people who are looking to get involved a little bit, so, you know, we're trying to get them in. We had a nice young crowd at the Memorial Day. In the background, there was more kids, I think, than ever, so hopefully we can get people to keep coming. So.
Just to put it out to the meeting, something to think about for next year's budget, please. To a water fountain with a refillable water with a filter down at the beach. I think would be a big hit. We already have the plumbing there.
You don't like filling up out of the shower?
I took out the hose, the spigot.
Just to tack on to that, I just saw Suffolk County Water Authority just donated one to the town of Islip, a new filtration system for refilling water bottles. Maybe they'd be willing to donate one to.
What do you think we needed at the beach or at Pacific Park?
The beach first.
Both would be nice, but the beach first.
There's got to be some kind of conservation grant.
It can't be that. How much can they be?
The PFA is purchased them for the school, so I know that it's not out of.
Yeah. I don't know about refrigeration, but yeah, everything else is.
All right. Anything else, Chris?
Yes, please. It's nice to hear people talk about elections. My wife has been in this country for a while. However, she wasn't a citizen until a couple months ago. If you've never been to a U.S. citizen's ceremony, the judge that they have in Central Iceland is outstanding. 250 people at the ceremony. Everyone had tears in their eyes. the first election that my wife will be voting at is the Bright Warriors election.
That's
So,
awesome.
you know, we take this voting for granted, but it actually is a big thing as an American.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Anybody else? Comment?
I mean, I obviously here late, so I don't know what was discussed before I got here, so I'm sorry. So if I'm being repetitive, just let me know. Can we gain some clarity on the implementation of the law regarding term limits should it pass?
Right.
More specifically, will you be eligible to run under the new law
No,
next year?
Right now, Carmine, what you missed is on the ballot, there's only going to be two questions. There's going to be the compensation question, and there's going to be the 2 to 4 years.
Mhm.
If the 2 to 4 years is passed, then we have to address the term limits. Right now, I'm on my, whenever I was elected, when I was elected on a 2-year term, my time is up. So if we go from 2 to 4, then over the next 3 or 4 months, then we'll have to go back and to talk about the term limits.
We may revisit it.
In what context?
I don't.
Well, right now, because then, if we go to 2 to 4 years, then we're going to have 4-year terms. On our books right now, it says 4 2-year consecutive terms. 2-year consecutive term, 2-year terms don't exist anymore. So we have to change that.
I understand that.
It doesn't affect this board for this election.
So you're asking, does this board prohibit it?
What I'm
from-
asking is this. In the end, what we don't know is how you're going to decide on whether or not for example, you're the best example because your term under the current law is up next
Right.
June.
Right.
If the referendum passes, my question is very simple. Will you be eligible to run next June?
Yes. Yeah, well, yeah.
No, I am not eligible to
Well-
run next June, Charlie. I'm on a 2-year term.
Well,
When my 2-year term is up, I'm up.
Right, because it doesn't affect till the next election cycle.
it doesn't affect the next election cycle, correct?
Right.
Correct. However, as I said earlier, that's a board discussion that we're gonna revisit the term limit law because, as I said at the first meeting, there's split authority on whether or not the current board would be held applicable to the new term limit law. There's
Yeah, because right now, say in Amityville has 4-year terms. Their term limits, 2 4-year terms. Belport just went to 4-year terms, but 3. They have term limits, 3 4-year terms. So, once we clear the first hurdle, then we have to come back and it gives you something to do for the next 3 or 4 months to talk about this, and we can decide what we want to do.
we have to revisit and maybe redraft the term limit law.
Either way,
Retrospective and full prospective, we have to revisit it.
Either way, that doesn't affect me at all. Because I was elected, like even now, when these guys are elected this year, they're elected to 2-year terms.
Right.
Because it's not,
Okay, so for anyone who's not up next year, they would just swing into the new law, correct?
No, you
I
have to
think
run.
at the next election.
No, I'm saying that they would be under the new 4-year terms.
Yes, but the question is whether or not they would be term limited out if their terms are up. And that's an undecided question yet.
yeah, next year's
So
election.
we're not sure if John can run or not.
Well,
No, I'm sorry, I'm pointing you out. I'm just-
Yeah, no, I
I don't
understand.
know why he's so confusing to him. I can't run.
I'm
I don't see that.
It can't run, but we're gonna revisit the term limit law. Because there's split authority on it. I said this before, I say it over and over again. There are 2 camps here. There's one camp that says the current board is bound by the 2-year term that they ran, and there's another camp that says the new laws come into effect. You can't be bound by a law that no longer exists. Therefore, it's a new clock that's set. There are 2 camps there are 2 different camps on that, and the courts have come down very tricky on that. It's not so simple.
Okay, so for example.
Come on, ask my wife if I can run next year.
But the issue is right.
But for example, in Pat's case, he's running now. Should he be elected next year? If he should run in 2 years,
I can't,
that's
turned
with.
out.
Huh?
I'll be turned out.
Oh, so they're all currently bound by the 2-year term limit.
Now, everybody in this board is bound by the 2-year term.
But if it passes, would he then be eligible in 2 years to run under the new law?
Yeah.
Pat,
That's an open question, I don't know
and
yet.
that, all right,
It's
so,
not, Charlie.
Because
so you're not-
I think, no, hold on.
I just want to understand.
Okay, this is a complicated area of law, it's not settled. My legal opinion is they would be entitled to it, because you can't be bound by a law that no longer exists. So you can run, you start the clock and do it. But there is split legal authority on this in the world of municipal law.
Understood.
It is not a settled question. And those who say it is, don't know. It is not a settled question.
That's why almost in a way we took that off this ballot for now until we settle the other two things.
Correct.
Because that seemed clearer to decide that before we get into
So
this
now it's clear to me what the issue is. But here's my take on it. Don't you think if you're putting this up for a referendum, that the board should have a sense of the direction, should know definitively how it's going to adjudicate and make a decision? Ultimately, should it pass? Because if people are voting on this, right now, they may not want one or either of the options to continue to be effectuated.
Then they can vote.
So
It's
people,
separate,
if
though.
they're going to
It's a
vote on
separate
it,
issue.
We can extend term limits without changing the length of the term. They're separate things. It's not like if A, then B. They're separate.
I understand. I
Okay.
understand that. So if this law does, so if we stay before 2,
Right.
and this doesn't pass, you're telling me they can go to 4-3?
Well,
Is that what
no,
you're saying?
you have to
No.
stay within the current law.
Right.
Because the term
So
limit law now is based on a 2-year term.
I got it. But I still feel that the board should provide a direction to the public about these are the issues, and this is the avenue we're going to take. So that at least they know, if you're changing the law, you know how it's going to be effectuated in the end. Just my opinion, I'm not here to debate it.
Charlie, you just had that conversation.
Anything with 2 is 10 right now.
Yeah, we have been doing that, and that's
Thank
it.
you.
All right. Anybody else?
Is it possible to, or would you please invite some of our legislators to one of our meetings? Because a lot of the questions that I brought up in the past have been about, and John, you just had that today, right, or yesterday, where you almost got hit here at North Windsor in the Sunrise Service Room. I brought it up at multiple meetings about the turning lane that doesn't have an end going into North Windsor coming south, and people just get into the turning lane and then continue toward house. Someone is going to get hit, and it's going to be a bad accident. The answer is usually that's an Iceland thing. That's a town.
It's a state.
Or state. So someone represents us, right?
Gina, you know where he's talking about up here?
Yeah.
When you're on the service road, just before North Windsor, there's an arrow. But sometimes people have their blinker on and they go straight because they're going on the fork by, I'll just say, the old JTI. So even today, I'm sitting there, guy has his blinker on, but I'm thinking he's turning, but I'm sitting there, and luckily I didn't go because he kept going. So I had 2 cars did that. So if we could look into who in New York State that you deal with along the service road, maybe we could talk to them about adjusting the lines. Yeah, there's got to be like a set turning lane and then a second turning lane.
Like they did on Fifth Avenue, I guess, is it Fifth Avenue, where by the beer distributor, when you can turn into Brightwaters off of Ackerson.
Yes.
Just like that, they created that side lane.
And just because of the increase in the park traffic, and we're going to have the camp, just a reminder, I know that the board has said that lettering will go nowhere, but
Okay.
crosswalk, please.
Yep. That's again, we have a list of things. When we sit with the traffic people, it's probably going to be a preliminary meeting to, see what they say before a final report is out. So we're hoping to sit with them in the next week or 2, and the park is like one of our main bullseyes as far as slowing people down, crosswalks, and everything else, whether we do the speed humps there or not. So You know, it's nice to know that they're finally going to finish the paving on all the service roads. I think they're coming Thursday, Friday, finally, where they were doing the work by the service roads, by Woodland, that area there. So that should be done hopefully in a couple of days.
Thank you.
So those are a mess. Anybody else? Anything else? Okay, I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thanks. Should we take Tom out to break?
They-